Thank you very much for everyone. Thank you to the show. Got myself, host, Manny Jimenez, Mish. Welcome, Cody Williams, our hot cup of Java. Right? We're always
very hot. 4-game win streak hot.
Hot cup of Java. Yeah, he is on fire right now. And Mile High Tim's not in the building today, but we got Rob Benitez filling in, the big kahuna.
Hey.
We're going to talk about that great matchup we had between the two of them. There's no more single person at the top. Well, Rob, you're technically still there, but it's even across the top now. It's anyone's game for that. No, I don't think anyone wants the top spot, but some people, it's kind of bragging rights, but it is.
Right. I don't want it.
You don't want it week 5.
I don't want it. I don't want
you want it week 17.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but welcome to the show, everyone. We got a big show here for you. We're going to talk about the matches that happened through the league, talk about the Feasting Turkeys, players that really balled out, had a great weekend. There was a lot of injuries that we're going to talk about. Running back landscape has been decimated. There's going to be a ton of waiver wire action going on. We're going to help you filter through that, cipher through it, and hopefully get you a running back to fill in your injury to CMC, Kyron Williams, whoever you got. They're all over the place. So lots of injuries to talk about. We'll get into the game of the week at the end and, bring hopefully some round out this with a great no mamas section from Rob Benitez. All right. We want to hear what trade offers he's been getting from his great team, or what if he's going to send out a trade offer because he's dealing with some injuries too. So we'll see how this goes. But let's talk about this first matchup of the week, guys. We had matchup number 1, which was actually Romo versus Javi. Woof.
Yeah.
Woof. Cody, you and Javi have a great relationship. I'm going to go ahead and let you talk about this wonderful score that Javi put up over the weekend.
This is interesting. Javi put up a 38. He, as you can see, lost to Romo, who got 77 there. Javi, this is the first week where actually the Cowboys won and Javi's team didn't. So Javi, the big Cowboys fan, he's riding a lot of Cowboys. He's back. He's got the Cowboys D and CD Lamb. This was the first week where the Cowboys actually won, and Javi did not, unfortunately. Romo put up, an average score of 77. Still almost completely doubled up, actually over doubled Javi's score there. Javi couldn't even get to 40 points. I don't know. Question for you two. Here we go. When was the last time someone in this league did not score 40 points? The last time someone couldn't put up a 4-0 or more points?
I don't think I've ever seen it in my career. I mean,
Rob thinks he's never seen it.
I don't think I can remember. I mean, I cannot. I mean, maybe I didn't pay attention, but I don't know.
I have seen a 30 before. It has happened. I have seen a 30. But as far as we playing this with the history tracking, I would have to be before 2009, 2008.
Okay, let's see. So I went back in the history books. I thumbed through the website, went all the way back to last week. Andrew scored 37 points. So that was the last time someone did not score 40. However, Andrew barely counts. He doesn't have a win. He's not really in the record books yet. So I went past that. The last time prior to Andrew last week not scoring 40, it was Javi again. 2022, he put up 14. He scored 14 points in the regular season. Week 14, Javi scored 14 in 2022. So I don't know what Javi's strategy is here. He has Saquon, who was coming back from injury, so maybe that's part of it, playing a tough defense in the Bills. Jonathan Taylor, it's still, I guess, ramp-up time for him. He still has Zach Moss on the bench outscoring Jonathan Taylor. I don't know when he's going to either start them both or maybe go ahead and start Moss over Taylor at some point. He's going to have to. Javi's team was looking really strong at the beginning of the year, and now I don't know if it's injuries that have hit him, if it's just too many Cowboys on his team. I'm not quite sure what's going wrong for him, but he really needs to start to correct stuff fast because he's in 7th place and in danger of missing out on the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a good call there. I mean, injuries bugs definitely hit him, right? The Saquon injury kept him out 3 weeks.
Yes, he did draft Jonathan Taylor, so he knew those first 4 weeks were going to be tough.
Yep. And I think Jonathan Taylor's, for all the Jonathan Taylor managers out there, it's going to take another 2 weeks for him to get in shape, really. He missed all of training camp. I don't think people realized it was going to take time for him to get settled in the offense. And if we watch the game again, you saw Zach Moss was very effective again. Yeah. I don't think this is going to be a Jonathan Taylor 3-down workhorse situation. Zach Moss has proven very capable, very high level. So I don't see why they would force him back into the mix. Rob, did you watch any of the game? How did you feel about that?
I honestly had to double check to make sure there wasn't a lot of bye week players on his squad. I was like, there's no way this man's going to score this low. But, in Javi's defense, that guy's overseas. He's, having a good time. He's like, okay, for sure he's going to have a shitty as, 38 points. But, he don't care. He's in Korea right now, enjoying the life out there, drinking and partying, whatnot. So, I think it's just a little 1 week blur. And I think he'll get into the playoffs. I don't know. Javi's always been someone who would get into the playoffs one way or another because of the history that I've had trying to fight into the playoff. It's either I'm going up against Javi or Ricky. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and looking at Romo's team, he started 0-4. He's on a 2-game win streak now after this. His team is kind of accelerating. He's got Etienne, who's just getting a bunch of points. He's getting a huge amount of volume there. Breece Hall's looking healthier and healthier, and his snap share is going up and up. I think this past week was the first week where it was past 55%. Dalvin Cook's getting less and less carries. Same with Michael Carter. Dameon Pierce is a little bit of an issue for him, but Chase is finally starting to wake up after the slow start. That whole offense is starting to go. Anthony Richardson is probably going to be out for the year with the shoulder injury, it sounds like. But at least he has Trevor Lawrence to kind of supplement that. So we pointed it out, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago, that his team was built pretty well, and it's finally starting to kind of come to fruition here. Kind of got lucky with the matchup. 77's not great. He got lucky to play Bobby. What do you guys think of Romo's team right now?
More than half the league would have beat him this week, so he got very, very lucky with the matchup. But yeah, Jordan Addison being number 1 wide receiver now in Minnesota fell into his lap pretty, could be next 4 weeks potentially, right? We don't know how long Jeff or
4 to 6, yeah.
So, but his running back, we have talked about it. Great running back core. Even Javonte is coming off the bench for him. Tyler Algier, always productive. And he's got Ingram, so he's got definitely depth at running back there. We'll see how his team fleshes out when he gets later in the season. If he takes an injury to Breece Hall or Travis Etienne, it could spell danger zone. And then Trevor Lawrence just suffered a leg injury, right? Knee injury.
Did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he got, I think towards the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken. It was late in the game.
Yep. So he's day-to-day right now, but he says he feels good. And so, they are definitely monitoring him. So we'll see what Romo does in this free agency, period, and see if he makes any changes. We got by apocalypse too. Something I forgot to bring up. We got 7 teams on bye. Bye weeks are being hit hard right now. We're going to see a lot of players who are going to be dropped because of that, who can't afford to hold on because you're trying to pick up players who are going to supplement for the bye week, people who need to stack wins. If you stack wins early on, you have 4 or more or 3 or more wins, you can kind of endure that loss for a week or 2. But if you're someone under 3 wins, you're going to drop somebody, and everyone's got to watch that waiver wire to see who gets dropped to add those people who are filling in for a bye week. So
that's a good point you make there, man. If you do have like Rob, has a good amount of wins kind of backed up, if fab opportunities come up, you can kind of not go as hard on those and save a little bit of money because in our league, the fab budget that you spend actually goes into your league fee. So it does add a little wrinkle there. So you can kind of, take your foot off the gas pedal. But if you are out of the playoffs right now, you need to start spending that fab money to try and get your way back into it and get into the playoff picture. So that is a good thing to point out there.
Yep, that's right. Romo's got Andrew coming up next week. I think he'll stack
another good matchup.
3rd straight win. Yep. Unless Andrew has a 50-point game from Cooper Kupp. But Javi's got Angel next week. So that'll be an interesting matchup.
Yeah.
Right? We'll see. Javi's again dealing with injuries. But if Jonathan Taylor starts to come form a little bit, Dak, the Cowboys are on bye, so he can't play Dak. He's got to play Russell Wilson again. Don't like that. But we'll see. So he's half of Javi's team is going to be on bye week next week.
Ooh.
So that'll be
tough against Angel.
Tough against Angel, yeah. Angel's, dealing with his own injury issues, but he's, he thinks he's going for 3 straight losses. We'll see, but we'll talk about Angel here in a second. Next matchup, Edgar versus Andrew.
The aforementioned Andrew.
Right? Edgar topped out his team with Tua Tagovailoa, right? Edgar's going to have always a chance this season because of Tua. Tua's balling. Easily top 2 quarterback in the league. Fantasy wise in our league, he's number 2 quarterback behind Josh Allen. So looking great. But what you don't like seeing on his team is that his kicker and his defense were the next top 2 players for him to snag a victory.
Yep.
With Harrison Buckner and the Raiders. Andrew, again, he had Cooper Kupp there. Devontae Smith is so volatile at times. I love his athletic ability. I love what he can do on the field. But sometimes if they're force-feeding A.J. Brown, I feel like Devontae never gets the ball. I don't understand that. They need to do a better job of game planning and spread that ball out because he's so good. So Andrew also went big last week on the Fab waiver wire to get Amari DiMercaro.
To get 1 point is what he did.
How much did he pay for him?
26, 27, I believe, was the one he did for him.
Just to get 1 point, I guess.
Yeah, it was $25 to get 1 point for the weeks. Yeah, that was a tough one. He did get Eckler back this week, right? But mostly ineffective on Monday night. Again, just like Jonathan Taylor coming back from injury, it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
But what I think was more concerning is Kirk Cousins for him. Is Kirk Cousins really a viable starter without Jefferson? I don't know. Well, you guys tell me.
I don't know where to start, but yeah, no. I mean, you still have Addison, who's still up and coming, right? You drafted him, I would say, and then you have Hawkinson too. Utilize him more. You paid the man. I would say utilize him. I just feel like it was just a weird game that day. Even on Chicago's side too, it was just wild. You just can't really make out, but Cousins like a hit or miss. I'm sure probably I don't know what his schedule looks like next week. He'll probably ball out for all I know.
It's tough to have him in there without Jefferson just because Jefferson, he changes the whole dynamic of the offense. I mean, not only can he go for 150, 200 yards, but he does that wall double covered. And if you have all your coverage shaded over to him, it opens up Addison, it opens up Osborne, it opens up Hawkinson a lot more to be, just a fraction more open can mean the whole difference in the NFL. And so I think that domino impacts everybody else. And it's not really like he has a great pass catching running back like he used to with like Dalvin Cook in his prime, where you could just dump that off and boom, that's 20, 30 yards sometimes. Madison and Akers are just kind of like rock pounders. They're not really guys that can jump out the flat, run a route kind of over the seam and get catches. So I think that's impacting him as well. I wouldn't say that he's droppable just because that offense is so pass heavy. He could also have a 3 or 4 touchdown game if the matchup's right, but the matchup should have been right against Chicago and he ended up with 7 points. You can't drop him, but you got to kind of find another option. He's got Geno on his bench. Geno only got 2 more points than he did, so it's not like he really started the wrong guy. He has another option on his bench. He would probably play Geno Smith more now than he would normally with Jefferson out, but you got to hold on to him for once Jefferson comes back. Yeah,
I agree. He's not a drop candidate at all. Kurt's going to have those up and down games. It's all going to come down to positive game script and the matchup, right? If it's a plus matchup, this should have been a plus matchup for Cousins. He just didn't get it done. I don't know why. The running game is hurting them. I don't like Madison's 2.4 yards per carry. It's so inefficient. I want to see Cam Akers in there. Let's get Cam in there. Let's go.
You got to give him props. He finally swapped out. Well, he didn't drop Washington's defense. He swapped out for the Falcons defense, which is a little puzzling. Last week on the pod, Manny recommended the Falcons. He clearly listens to the pod. He had me, 3-time champion, recommend the Chiefs. If you would have added them, that's 16 points. He had Tim, former champion, recommend the Jags. That was 14 points. He could have trusted himself, kept Washington in 11, but he went with Manny's pick, the Falcons, and it got him 5. Not great. Tucker there, solid. Cooper Kupp coming back 22. He's really got to hope Eckler and Kupp really get him some victories here because 0-14 is looking like it's on the table if he can't really get past Romo here.
It's just kind of speechless. It's like, what do you do if you go 0-14? Do you rename the loser trophy after you? It's crazy. Yeah.
It's gonna have to be something. It's definitely gonna be very interesting to see. I think if he starts 08, 09, you just gotta go with it.
That's when the watch starts.
Embrace it. Yep, and it'll be definitely panic watch, or overwatch.
There we go.
But I did give him Atlanta. I feel bad because it was a good matchup. They still got him 5 points. They got a lot of sacks, but I didn't expect Washington to throw because they didn't throw that well the game before. But in that, Washington was on his bench with 11 points. So starting Washington would have won him the week, which I do feel terrible about. So,
I don't think it would have only gotten him up to 74. It was only a 6-point swing.
No, he lost 69-86. Oh yeah, you're right, 74.
Yeah.
So, okay.
All right. He would have needed 17 more. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I feel better.
Don't feel bad. There you go.
I feel better about that. All right, good. So Andrew, sorry, but yeah, we're gonna have to make a change there. Maybe Eckler's gonna start coming into form. You're gonna have to find better options when it comes to the second running back position because you're in rough shape there, man. So you got to spend up. There's gonna be guys that we talk about on the waiver section. I gotta go all in on the fab. Got to go all in, even if it's to get 2 wins. You got to do it, right? Just to start changing that mojo a little bit.
Yeah, right? That's a real thing.
And so Edgar got his W. He's team Raiders with Jacobs, Devontae Adams, Raiders defense, previous Raider Darren Waller, but he does have Tua carrying that team. He's averaging, between 80, 85 points a game. It's not terrible in our league. It's decent because of Tua, but he's got Carlos coming up. Carlos's team is starting to come around. So there's going to be some, Carlos that's a good battle for that last place position actually coming up this next week. So
yeah, just like Rob was talking about.
Whoever gets in that game, whoever loses that one is going to drop back into that bottom 4, and nobody wants to be in that position. So that'll be a matchup to watch out for. But we talked about Romo potentially having a bye week next week playing Andrews, which is unfortunate. Next game, Mile High Timmy versus 18 Wheeler. Right? We've had Angel pretty much all week on our chat crying that his team is injury prone. His guys are not they're not seeing the training staff, his spread offense, and like a flag football team. They're just out there getting hurt all the time. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, but Angel will always have a chance because he's got Lamar Jackson. Even though Lamar Jackson is not doing good in real football for fantasy, he's awesome. And I've always liked him. He's going to average 15 to 20 points a game because of his running ability. But what Angel's really hurting at is the running back position right now. He had a strong start to the season with James Cook, but James Cook has fallen off a cliff. My goodness.
Yeah.
He's got some question marks at running back for sure. And his wide receiving group, like Calvin Ridley, same thing. Only 3 points this week. So volatile.
Mm-hmm. After that first strong week, he's kind of fallen off and hasn't been the same guy since week 1. And then, Marquise Brown was a guy who was, getting that touchdown, the 1 or 2 touchdowns Arizona would get. He would at least get one of them. He didn't happen to do that against the Rams. Puka, last week was carrying the ball well. He did kind of drop a touchdown. He was diving for, which could have changed, the day for him. But with Pup getting all those targets, as we saw on Andrew's team, I think Cup had 22 points here. Puka only has 2. His tight end, though, getting the ball out of the tight end, especially a guy that you just picked up off waiver wire, that's huge, especially for a team like his. Normally, that would kind of lead to a win, you would think.
You got to give up to him. That tight end pickup he made a couple weeks ago has paid off big time because Dalton Schultz has been in the top 5 for the last 3 weeks. So huge pickup at the tight end position because we all know it's a disaster.
Yeah. So, we'll see with Tank Dell coming back. We'll see if that continues. Because it seems like once Tank Dell went out, Schultz's points total started rising. So we'll see if that continues on. But Lions D getting him 11 is pretty good. And this is a matchup. It was only 7 points. If it's this tight, usually you'll look at the bench and see, is there a guy he could have swapped out or could have made a difference? But looking here, it looks like he played all the right guys. They just, with Jefferson out, his team just couldn't put together enough points to top Tim. And then looking over at Tim's team, what do you think, Rob? What do you think of Tim's team here?
Well, I want to ask Rob a question about Angel's team.
For sure.
Okay. You got Calvin Ridley, Marquise Brown, Puka Nacua, DK Metcalf.
Right.
Those are 4 number 1 wide receivers. Who do you start? Who are the 2 that you start?
It's tough. I mean, that's the one thing. You're so stacked in one position. Like it's always going to be a matchup thing, right? Like it's you have Puka, who could have easily gotten a touchdown if he had not dropped that ball. But Marquise Brown, Calvin really again falling off. What the heck's happening over in Jacksonville? We don't know, but it's always hard. Imagine he had Justin Jefferson. Obviously, he's an automatic, but DK Metcalf. I think it's gonna be a matchup thing, and he knew about that. Knowing his team, he had 4 wide receivers or 5. starting
5.
wide receivers.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's trying to shop out some of them for a running back at this point, because James Cook, I'm surprised that he didn't run the ball a lot more in New York. I felt like he was getting a good amount of, spaces, open spaces to run through, but they just kind of dropped from, again, a weird game. I expected the Bills to demolish by a lot, but I don't know what happened.
They got really pass happy there.
Cody and I were texting about it. They go away from the run, and I don't understand why. When they established the run, they're so much better. Playing a little bit too much hero ball with Josh Allen, I don't get it. I wish they would not do that. So with bringing up, a potential trade offer, and maybe we'll get to the no mamas, but Justin Jefferson, right? If he's going to shop Justin Jefferson, do you have to give up a number 1 RB to get Justin Jefferson?
I don't think you get number 1 RB. I think you get, closer running back 2. Because how scarce RBs are in our league, it's going to be hard to get that number 1 for sure, unless it's a package deal, right? The only thing I can think of is he puts 2 wide receivers together. And that's the only way. Or he includes Brian Robinson or James Cook, one of his, to upgrade maybe a little bit on his running back. But I think for him, one-on-one trade is going to be impossible. It has to be a package deal.
Yeah, otherwise it's pretty tough, especially when you go back and look at what happened with Cooper Kupp last year with his ankle, where it seemed like it was going to be 4 weeks and then it kind of extended and then became the rest of the year. With Jefferson, it's 4 to 6 weeks, possibly maybe longer, and depending on what the record is when that time comes around, do they shut him down like what happened to Kupp last year? It's a risky play, but then obviously if you get him on your team for the fantasy playoffs and he's Justin Jefferson, that's just an instant boost right there and right in time for the fantasy playoffs.
Right.
Yep. Angel, Cam Akers is going to take over that job very soon, so hit me up. Right?
Okay.
Talk about Timmy's team though. Tim is having an up and down season, right? He's having some bad losses, but he's having some good wins as well. Again, Tim's got the number 1 player in fantasy, in my opinion, Tyreek Hill. Outside of the quarterback Josh Allen position, his skill position player is always going to carry him, and actually both his wide receivers are excellent. Yeah. Stephon Diggs and Tyreek Hill are legitimate top 5, are wide receiver 1s, but they're top 5 players in the league. So,
easily,
kudos to him for great drafting, right? So he's always giving himself a chance there.
And his dance with Cole Kmet continues. He cuts him and he goes off, has a 20-plus point game. So he scrambles, picks him back up, and then puts up a 0 for him. So I feel like he was doing that with him last year. So it's interesting to see this dance between him and Cole Kmet going on. If he's on his roster, low points off his roster, or benches him, he'll go off for 20-plus.
If a tight end does that to you twice, where you drop him, has a blows-up game, pick him up, gets you a goose, and then you pick him up and it doesn't do it, or drop him again, then he blows up. Do you just move off and say, I can't deal with this nonsense anymore? Or do you continue and try to go for hitting that one big week with him?
It depends on what else is on the waiver wire. If someone ends up cutting a tight end that I kind of like during one of the bye weeks, I'll even just pick up a tight end on a bye, cut that volatile guy right off, and play the tight end in the bye in my starting spot, and then kind of go from there and hope better days are ahead for the both of us, and leave that ex-girlfriend behind and just look forward to the future with the new tight end.
How do you approach it, Rob?
Yeah, no, for me, because I have Cole Kmet in another different league, I just ride them through. It's just going to be, because there's hardly any tight ends that are out there that are really going to be that consistent. At this point, you're just looking for 5 points, at that position, not having an elite tight end. So, yeah, at this, you just ride it out at this point, yeah.
5 points. That's a great freaking game for a tight end.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah,
that's a top 5 player for the week on the tight end.
Easily,
So Angel putting up 12 points at all shows. I thought he would win for sure. So luckily, good for Tim. He got the W. Tim is going to be dealing also with the Justin Fields, Matt Stafford situation. Matt Stafford, I thought was going to put up a big game against Arizona. That didn't happen. Luckily, he started the right guy because Justin Fields did leave the game early with an injury. So Justin, we'll see to monitor that. That's going to affect, of course, DJ Moore, all the other players. I don't know if you guys saw the guy that came in for Justin Fields. He was underdrafted rookie free agent.
Yeah.
His name was
Baguette.
Yeah, I actually heard a couple chats I was on Bilbo Baggins is in the game. I was like,
Oh,
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Like Bilbo
Yeah.
Baggins. So yeah, Bilbo Baggins is not going to help anybody offensively on the
No.
Bears. It's going to be rough sledding if he's going to start a couple weeks there. So sit your Bears. Don't deal with that nonsense. So Pokemet, get him off the team, Tim. He's done. Get him out of there.
Luckily for him, though, Foreman is kind of just like a placeholder for him. But Kareem Hunt, he got a touchdown there for Cleveland. He's starting to get a few more carries and touches out of the backfield, splitting time with Ford. So that could be the big pickup he made. I think it was back in week 2 before he was even on a roster. That could be the big pickup for him. He got both points here. Luckily, he didn't need him to start. But looking at his team, he needs a running back. He has a couple options there in Gus Edwards and Kareem Hunt to kind of supplement his strong receiving core there, which kind of could help him stay in that mid-80s range.
Yep.
Yeah.
But he does play you next week,
Cody. He does. Indeed, he does. It'll be a tough matchup. It's always a good matchup whenever we play each other. We've gone head-to-head in the playoffs and the finals, and regular season games between us usually are pretty high-scoring and fun to kind of watch.
Nice. Let's get into the next matchup. We got Alex versus Carlos, right? We got the Top Gun Maverick versus Santa Fe Springs Swap Meet. That was the matchup of the week. 2-point game. Love those close games, right? Carlos did it, came out on top, got back to 500, taking down the AI ChatGPT team of Alex Benitez, Rob's brother. I think they both used the same algorithm, I'll be honest, to draft their teams this year. So because they're both pretty stacked teams, but Alex has not been able to get those easy wins that he thought he would be. So week 1, he lost to me. He lost to last week to Carlos here. Very, very good matchup. Carlos's team is really starting to take shape. Oh, we lost Rob there. Hopefully he joins us back. But, he had a great start with Jared Goff. Jared Goff was excellent in this game.
Oh, yeah.
The Lions are excellent. You got a Lion, fire him up. But,
he's got 2 of them.
He's got 2 of them, right? Amon-Ra and the Jared Goff stack was excellent this week. So
it was indeed.
Good on him. Again, he went after the tight end waiver wire. Logan Thomas after his couple big games, and of course throws up a goose.
Yeah,
it's what you're
doing. Tight end roller coaster this year. What can you do?
Yeah. But you look at Carlos's bench. Zay Flowers put up 12. Jameson Williams put up 12. So Carlos sneakily getting the team. Ever since Alvin Kamara came off suspension, his team is really taking some shape here, and he's stacked up those wins. So back to 500. He's got
sneaky thing he did too. He picked up, I think it was after week 1, he picked up Raheed Shaheed. In our scoring format, punt return yards do get you points. It gets you some points, and he's the punt returner for the Saints. So on top of his receiving yards, he usually gets 50 to 70 receiving yards. On top of that, he gets Rob a couple extra punt return yards. So that gives a nice little basement floor for him to rely at least 5 to 8 points, even if he doesn't get too many yards through the air or a touchdown. Here he did, which got him up to 15. But that's a sneaky move by Carlos that I saw in week 2 and I admire. That was a good move by him. And if you follow his team, he's been playing him every week, and it's starting to work out for him.
Oh yeah. And when
people often overlook, especially if you have a receiver that can get those return yards.
Oh yeah, I love seeing that. It's like when a player is able to get you those big playability points, right? If he breaks one for 40 yards or breaks one to the house, that makes your whole week right there.
Really. And he's got a guy on the bench, Jameson Williams, that can do that, and even did that for the Lions. So he's got 3 Lions now that we're mentioning it. I mean, he's Detroit Carlos over there. But that's his team's really starting to kind of work its way into shape. I'm sure he was watching that Monday night matchup with Keenan Allen on the other side, getting catch after catch after catch. If you're him in that position, seeing Keenan Allen on the other side and you're up, I think he was up 18 as Keenan Allen is starting to get points. How are you feeling watching that game?
Oh man, you're going, please stop throwing the ball to Keenan. Please. You were like,
somebody cover him.
Someone cover him. Someone sacked Justin Herbert. Yeah, I'm sure he was watching with a little bit of a, heart palpitation there. And I want my boy to breathe easy. He got the W, but yeah, Alex, it was close, but Alex really hasn't got the production out of Patrick Mahomes that he's expecting. He got 19 points this week, but he hasn't been great. He hasn't been that top 5 elite fantasy player that we expected, especially we talked about it last week. So he's definitely here there. McCaffrey, going out early in the game, injury. So McCaffrey's usually good for 15 to 20 points. Only got him to 10 this
Or
week.
more. Yeah.
Yeah. So that definitely was a big plus to Carlos, right? Give him that. Yep. Other than that, Jalen Waddle had a good game.
Yeah.
And so.
I mean, he put up 94 points, so it's hard to kind of pick and choose. I mean, he's 3-3 with a pretty solid team. You can chalk it up to karma for having someone else draft his team for him. That's what most people would say. With these close losses, high scoring. Patrick Mahomes, usually rock solid. I think he's still like a top 5 or 6 QB, but you're used to seeing him number 1 or number 2. 49ers defense, too, against a backup quarterback, you'd expect more than 9 points coming from him. Same with Hawkinson, with no Justin Jefferson, you'd hope you'd see a touchdown. It's just, he's got a solid team, as we've talked about week after week, but karma just kind of bites him. He had Pittman on the bench with, a decent matchup against Jacksonville, but are you going to start him over Waddle? Are you going to start him over Allen in the flex over Swift? You can't really blame him for having him benched. So he still has Laporta there on the bench. It ended up being the right move, only getting him 3 points. But I want to see the week where he finally starts him. He's just left him on the bench, and I'm waiting for the week where he starts them both. Or actually, he can't, because we don't have a full flex. It's just receiver, running back. But if you're Alex in this position, you have Hawkinson, you have Laporta. They're 2 of the top 6 tight ends. What do you do with the other one? Do you hold them and keep other people from getting tight end points, or do you use them as trade bait? How do you approach that, Manny?
You got to use him as trade bait, and I would think he's going to do it at his wide. If he has a position that he wants to really shore up, it's that wide receiver position, right? I mean, Jalen Waddle's good, but too volatile there. He's got one excellent wide receiver, Keenan Allen. So I think he would shop that Laporta to get a legitimate number 2 WR2, right? Or wide receiver 2, and
one you can count on.
Yeah, one you can count on week after week, because Jalen's great, but Tyreek's always going to get some.
Vacuuming up all the targets there.
Yep. Yeah. And then Raheem's going to get his. When Achan comes back, he's going to get his. So just too many mouths to feed in the Miami. Right now, Waddle's getting the ball right because Achan is out. So that's just kind of how it goes. So we'll see. And Rob, welcome back.
Thank you. Sorry, technical
Yeah. But overall, the team's good. I do want to see Alex drop to under 500 though, and see panic mode. I would like to see some trades start happening. That would be fantastic.
It would be. We could have a matchup where him and Angel seem to be good candidates to maybe make a trade. He'll have to talk to the guy that runs his team for him and see if he can work out a trade with Angel. But next week he's got a matchup against Ricky, so I don't know if you'll see him really drop below 500. Ricky's had some tough going here at the start of the year, but I'd like to see an upset. I'd love to see Ricky take him out. I'd like to see it happen.
Oh, it would be great. It would be wonderful. Yeah. I mean, CMC is going to be questionable going into the game, right? I mean, the rib injury.
Still haven't gotten an update. It's Tuesday, which kind of makes me think it's not great.
Yep. So that'll be very, very a big plus for Ricky, right?
Oh yeah.
But Keenan Allen as well. Chargers are on. No, Chargers are not on bye. Or Chargers are on bye, right? So
Chargers are not. No, Chargers next week. They get the Chiefs.
Yeah. Okay. So Keenan Allen's going to put some points there in that week.
You would think so.
You would hope so, yeah. So, but we'll see. Ricky, we're rooting for you. Let's go, Ricky.
Yes, right. Let's go, Ricky.
Let's talk about the next matchup with the 2 guys we have here on the call. Rob.
Rob my God.
So we had Rob, who was top of the King of the Mountain, going up against Cody. Cody was trying to get back into the fold of being in the top spot. Cody just Kyron Williams, my goodness. It was weird because that first half he did nothing. He was literally at 1 point, Cody, for the first half.
I believe so, but the whole Rams offense, I think, only had 18 plays in the first half. So the whole Rams offense was down.
Yeah. So it was very, very interesting that he didn't do anything, but you were able to really stack up some points there and get Kyron to just ball out for you in that second half. So Good job there. Josh Allen, kind of a down game, 14 points. It's a little bit below what he provides. But the surprise was you got 13 from Ramondre. I think that was a huge lift for you. I know you pulled
down.
You pulled off that trade with Ricky early in the season. Hasn't really come to fruition as it should have, but this one, but Drake London and Jacoby Myers, my goodness, Jacoby Myers might be your best value pick of the year. Guy's been a stud.
Indeed. Oh no, Rob didn't want to talk about the loss.
I guess, yeah, Rob did not want to talk about it. So, yeah, how did you feel about your team? Like, how do you feel going into the rest of the season now? You're going to have to obviously, you got Jahmyr Gibbs on the bench if he's going to come back and fill in that role for Kyron Williams, because we know Monty's also hurt as well. So, how are you going to play that? What's going to be the strategy there?
Well, taking a look at the team, it's funny you mentioned that. On Thursday morning, I believe it was, I was starting to actually look at the matchup between myself and the big Kaluza over here, and I was kind of looking at his matchups, and his matchups, he was going against tough defenses, and I had pretty favorable matchups, and so I actually texted Ricky on the side. I was like, hey, I don't want to send this in group chat. I know I'm going to jinx it, but I'm telling you, I'm calling the shot right here. I'm taking that O from Rob. I'm changing it. He's getting the L here. I'm going to beat him. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to beat him. I didn't know I was going to end up with the high score of the week with 111 here. I did tell him I was confident I was going to go ahead and beat Rob. And Sunday morning, when it goes to the London games, Ravens defense got me 17. Mark Andrews, they were double covering Andrews. He still ended up with 6 points. I was watching that game on my phone closely as I was driving. Every time he tried throwing Andrews, there were 2 guys on him. But them together, if you get your defense and tight end to get 23 points, you're loving life. Moody, missed the last minute kick. He also missed a 50-yarder for me, which kind of broke my heart. But as you mentioned, Manny, that Kyron Williams' second half is really when I started to kind of breathe a lot easier and feel like I had things more in control. Josh Allen, I was already ahead. So him only getting 14 points against the Giants defense was a little bit curious, but, it was a weird Sunday night game on the road, coming back. I believe they're coming back from London, so it could be kind of that like jet lag hangover is what I'm hoping for. You're expecting 24 plus points out of him. So I'm feeling pretty good about my team. My receivers are coming into form. Myers, I'm lucky Hobby cut him when he was concussed in week 2 because he had a great week 1, so I was able to just scoop him up from Hobby's team. And he's been putting up double digits for my team ever since. I still don't feel comfortable at receiver. They're all super volatile. A lot of it depends on the matchups. Gibbs coming back from a hamstring, even with Rob's guy Montgomery out. I'm not sure how much they're going to use him. We'll talk about it in the waiver pickups if Craig Reynolds is an option, but I'm not feeling great about Gibbs coming back. They might, they've already given him only like 7 or 8 touches a game, so he might get that or even less because of the hamstring. But I feel good about my team. I got Deontay Johnson from Romo to try and be a receiver that can step in there. But with Josh Allen, I'm hoping he can go for 40 points any given week. So I'm hoping that's going to it'll be volatile. Don't know if it's a championship team, but if I can get hot for 3 weeks at the end of the season, it'll be good. And I got Tim next, as we talked about. Hopefully I can take this 5-game win streak. Last week 5-game win streak, keep it going into the next week. But I'm glad I took the big L from Manny's Man Crush team here.
Yeah.
How are you feeling, Rob? How are you feeling about your team right now?
Well, obviously, you're going up a team with only 8 players. Well, if looking at going into this game, it's like I'm gonna play with 8. Just like what I did. I think I did without a tight end 1 week, and I was able to beat Carlos. I think barely. That was a really low. My first week, low scoring, but I felt like, okay, I can't afford to drop somebody right now. I feel because running backs are so scarce. I just couldn't do it. I'm just going to take the hit. If I take the hit, I lose. I mean, what? The only defense I had to pick to beat you would have to be Minnesota. That's the only defense that would have beat you. It would have by 1 point. It would have been 112, 111. I calculated it, so it would have been really close. But I figured, I'll just take the hit and then see what my team goes. And yeah, Montgomery going down, but again, I don't know how much I would have gotten out of Montgomery because Tampa Bay rush defense is pretty good. So yeah. I was like, they weren't really doing much. He only broke away 1 pass, and that's that 1 play that he got hurt. So, Rashad White again, I'm hoping maybe 7 points on him. It's Detroit defense is tough as well. So I knew I was going to hurt in the running back. I mean, Montgomery, obviously, once I lost him, it was like, okay, I don't know how much more can I get from the other players. But, then again, my team did its best. It's like, what can my kicker do? My kicker ain't going to put 25 points up. So, it's like, yeah. So, yeah. Good win for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like I have the expense to take hits now. So
That's something Manny was talking about in the beginning of the podcast, whereas if you banked up those 5 wins, you can afford to not cut the defense. I got to admit, I saw you had the defense on a bye. I saw your bench, and I was like, okay, who's Rob going to cut here? Because I'm going to throw a fab bait in on any of those guys on his bench or even Steelers defense. I'm going to jump on them. And you didn't cut anyone, which I kind of felt like was the right move. Steelers defense, like you said, they weren't going to get you 23 points unless you picked the Vikings, which you're not going to do. So, yeah, I think you made the right call there, having banked up those wins. That's what that 5-game win streak at the start of the season kind of gets for you.
Right, exactly. So
I was ready. I think more than myself, maybe Manny was ready too, but we were ready seeing who you're going to drop for defense.
I was ready, but Rob played smart. He didn't panic. He's got 5 wins. He's like, you could afford 2 more losses and still be fine. So it was a smart move. But the running backs, Rob, your team is obviously struggling. Monty is going to be out for an extended time. So I know you going to have to fire up Warren after his bye week.
Right, exactly.
So got to fill in that spot. Rashad White has been, ho-hum.
Seriously.
But wide receivers have been carrying you through, though. I mean, Adam Thielen, is a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy football. I mean, that is a crazy, crazy thought with such a terrible quarterback. He's a top 5 wide receiver. Now, we'll say this. The coach just gave up play calling duties. I don't know if you guys saw that this week. So
in Carolina?
Yes. So coach was calling plays. It was the coach who used to coach at Indianapolis.
Frank
Reich. He's giving up play calling duties to the offensive coordinator now. I don't know if this is due to the fact that they're only targeting Thielen 10 times a game.
Or could be the fact that they're 0-6.
Anything. Whatever they're doing is not a recipe for success. Yeah. So he's going to give up play calling duties. We've seen players step up, right? Is Thielen going to get that same kind of volume? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this play calling. So I'm just very surprised. He's very much – Rob's probably got the 2 best value picks of the season so far with Thielen and Montgomery. It's been wild. But he can withstand, again, that, injury a couple weeks out. He can withstand it. A.J. Brown has been money. As I was talking about earlier, Devontae Smith, he doesn't get any love. A.J. gets it all some games, and he blows up. And Christian Kirk.
4 weeks in a row, over 125 yards receiving for A.J. Brown right there.
Yeah, a Philadelphia record. As a franchise.
Yep.
So good for them. Good for him. Christian Kirk, though, he's been money too for you, Rob. I mean, we always thought he would be a guy in Arizona that would come out and be a stud wide receiver, right? A wide receiver 1, and he's a wide receiver 1 this year in fantasy. So good for you.
Yeah, I definitely was contemplating, obviously, when really was, in the picture. And I was like, well, I figured it's almost like a somewhat similar situation as in Seattle, right? He's like your Lockett, he's kind of like that player who has a big play, ability to go down deep. So I figured I'll take those chances in the game. So,
yeah. Any word on James Conner? Have they said when he's coming back?
No, well, they IR is like 4 weeks. They're automatically minimum 4 weeks. So yeah, they're saying a knee. They said that he walked on it when he got hurt. So I'm hoping I get him back after 4 weeks. It's tough right now with my running backs running extremely thin at the moment. Obviously, I would only make moves only if the right offer is placed, right? So it's going to be hard. But again, this league is very scarce in RB. So to make a trade, it has to be like a bundle thing. It's hard to get 1-for-1, I think, at this point.
Hard to get 1-for-1. That's right. So you're willing to move off from Connor if the offer was right?
If the offer's right, maybe him and a Thielen together.
Oh
boy!
Package. Is anyone stealing that package? Let's see. Let's find out.
Who's stealing that shove? Yeah, that's right.
So.
And finally, last matchup of the week, my game against the brotherly matchup, right? Mm-hmm. Ricky, he's been out of on his own for this first season. He's seen me, I have typically good regular seasons. I just can't close the deal. Everybody knows this. It's the running joke of the league. But I feel like I draft well. I get my team that puts up. I average between 80 and 100 points every week, so I feel always good about that. Wasn't really worried even when I saw Raheem put up 31. I traded Raheem to Ricky. Everybody knows that. But that's because I didn't want Mike Evans on my roster anymore. As you can see, what Mike Evans does what he does. Some weeks he blows up, and some weeks he just hurts you. So I didn't want to deal with that volatility. So it was worth giving up Raheem to do that. Now he gave me Joe Mixon in return. Joe Mixon's just been consistent, 5 points every week. Yeah. If that's a floor for Joe Mixon, I'll take it. I would prefer obviously the 10-point range, but at least I got a floor. And that's my third running back. It's not my top 2 running backs, Pollard and Kenneth Walker, are excellent. Kenneth Walker is a legit RB1 right now in the season so far. I mean, the snap count between him and Charbonnet is 75-25. It's not even close. And he gets all the goal line touches. So made a good draft pick there. Been good. Justin Herbert, we talked about it last night. I know Mile High Timmy says that he's a crappy quarterback. I don't believe so. I think he's hiding a lot of deficiencies from the Chargers. Yeah. Cody, you posted that great post from X, no longer a tweet. It was an X, that the Chargers, have spent all this money on defense, and they're literally ranked in the bottom 10% of the league when it comes to all the defensive stats. So that's
top 3 in payroll for their defense and bottom 3 years running in yards allowed per game defensively.
Yeah.
With the defensive coach, with the old Rams defensive coordinator as their coach. You'd think that'd be the specialty there, and clearly, yeah, I'm with you. I think Herbert's a good quarterback, hiding a lot of the deficiencies. A lot of their games are always, like a shootout game. Last night wasn't really a shootout, but it was still, they seem to be close and tight, and the defense can never seem to really help them out and give them a little breathing room. Everything has to be pinpoint perfect. And even in Tim's, messages to the group, it was like, oh, he missed this one throw. He did this one thing wrong. And everything just has to be perfect because he doesn't have a ton of help on that back end.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. It's they're always going to Keenan Allen. The tight ends, Garrett Everett got a touchdown last night off a easy rollout screen play that they ran in the end zone. But hopefully Eckler coming back is going to give him more options to dump it off. I love when he dumps it off and Eckler takes it for 20 yards.
He should have had Eckler for a touchdown at the end, but he waited too long to throw it there.
Yep. So I'm not worried. As long as the Chargers do what they do and always charger it up and let teams, when they even up by 20 points, they're going to let teams come back and force Herbert to throw the ball. So that's what I was banking on when I made that pick, and it's been going. I'm pretty happy with my wide receiving core. Garrett Wilson, even though I lost Aaron Rodgers with the Jets, he's been very productive, even with Zach Wilson, which is surprising. What I'm banking on my team is Rashee Rice to actually become something. I've been holding him, and over the last 3 weeks, we're starting to see snap count go up, starting to see the catches go up, targets go up. He almost got into the end zone again this last week, but he had a big game on Thursday night, and he's becoming the legit number 2 behind Travis Kelce, and I think that's what the team's been missing. So if Rashee Rice can become something, I think it's going to really help find me that breakout wide receiver candidate, because if you look at the wide receiving, the rookie wide receivers this year, who's really been the breakout star?
For rookie wide receivers?
Yeah.
It's definitely not JSN, and you're
going
down.
Jackson.
Maybe Addison. You'd probably go Addison.
Maybe Tank Dell.
Tank Dell, but he's been out the last 2 games.
Right. Blow-up game.
Yep. So
I'd probably go with Addison, if anything.
Right.
Yeah. So, there's not that many. So maybe he can be the next guy JSN really hasn't performed at all. And I had him early on, and I after week 3, I was like, this isn't going to turn into anything. I got to let him go.
You haven't regretted it since he's still out there.
Yeah, exactly. So moved on from that and been good. But, Cooper on my bench still putting up points. I was shocked he put up 10 against San Francisco with PJ Walker. So Cooper, I'm going to fire him up. If he's going to put up a performance like that against the best defense in the league, that gives me great confidence.
Yeah, and you still have Ayuk as well. He dropped what could have been probably a 60-yard touchdown, maybe more. It hit his fingertips. He had it, but it changed the whole dynamic of that game. And I mean, even fantasy, but beyond your matchup, fantasy matchups everywhere. Would have been actually I would have helped Ricky out because Purdy would have been the one throwing it to him with Ayuk on your bench. That would have been a huge play for Purdy. Yeah, we might have had a different result here had he actually caught that. So maybe Ayuk was looking out for your team.
Yeah, exactly. I thought about that when that play happened. I was like, oh my gosh, I should have played Ayuk too, but I didn't know Debo was going to go down early in the game, and McCaffrey. So leaving Ayuk as the last man standing because Kittle didn't do anything. I was like, oh my goodness.
No, I think he had one catch maybe for 1 or 2 yards.
Yep, that's all. Yeah.
After his blow up game,
So Ricky, wide receiving core, Mike Evans.
Or before you move on to Ricky's team, we do see you have that matchup against Rob. I see. I was going to bring up the last matchup, but I knew this one was coming up. We got head-to-head coming up here before we look at Ricky's team. How are you feeling going into that matchup?
I was trying not to dwell on that too much. So yeah, I definitely. I'm plus favored that Monty is not going to be playing against me, so that's positive. But I am worried about Adam Thielen. And Jalen Hurts. Right? The brotherly shove is always going to get him 15 to 20 points. It's a wild scene that happens there. But yeah, Rob's wide receivers give me some hesitation. So I'm just hoping. I got Tony Pollard on bye this week, so that'll put me down. Luckily, I have to play Ayuk and Amari this week and hope for the best. But it's gonna be a tough matchup. I don't know who you have on bye, Rob, but
I don't think I have anybody on bye.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going full blown. Yeah, I think my next big bye is the week after I play you. Yeah, that was where I'm for sure gonna take an L.
Panthers on the bye though. You won't have Thielen this week.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Oh, okay. So there you go.
Yeah,
I won't have a best wide receiver.
There you go.
Yeah. But no, I foresee a very close matchup between Rob and I. I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way. It will really come down to the quarterbacks. What Herbert does next week against Kansas City will be big. We'll see. And then Philly's playing against Miami. So
yeah.
So both quarterbacks should have big numbers. So I think those will be the two deciding factors of this week's matchup between Rob and I.
That will be fun. I mean, first place against second place. I'm sitting in third place. I know I'm hoping for a tie. You guys just end up with a tie. Maybe I get a win and jump ahead of both of you right there.
I would be fine with a tie. Let's work it out, Rob.
Well.
Yeah, I'm going up against really good teams. Yeah, for sure. I know. I had Cody, and then I was like, okay, now back to back, I got the commish. Obviously, your teams are making statements against my team, so. I guess I'll keep riding that losing streak. I don't mind. I don't want a number one. I really don't want number one. I'd hate to go number one, to be honest, to finish at the end of the year.
Yeah. Number 2 seed is a great place to go into, right? You play against the 7th seed. You don't play against that 8th seed guy who snuck in and his team all of a sudden gets hot.
Exactly.
Burned me a couple times. So
the guy who very clearly doesn't want to be number one on the other side of this matchup here, little Ricky. He's 1-5. This was a tough matchup here going against Manny, who was in second place even before this matchup. 74 points, which is slightly below average. His Purdy pickup for him was getting him 20 points a week for the past 3 weeks, and then against that tough Cleveland defense. If Purdy kind of has a more normal Purdy game, Debo getting hurt obviously didn't help him. He had a chance to win this matchup, but some things just didn't go in his favor. Obviously, the Samuel injury, and looking at his team, Derrick Henry and Mustard did what you would want them to do. The rest of his team couldn't really just muster together to get ahead of Manny here, it looks like. What do you think, Rob? Looking at his bets, is there anything you could have done differently? It looks like very low scoring, but
yeah, no, definitely. I don't think he could have done anything different. Just looking at those numbers, he wouldn't be able to do anything to make a difference. But that's what happens when people come in hot. Saying like, oh, screw Robert. All of a sudden, the first guy he calls out before the season starts, I'm like, look at him now. Who's getting the last laugh? That's all on him. I don't care about his team, low key. I don't care about his team. You hear that, Ricky?
Wow. Do you see? Okay, Ricky right now is in 11th place, as you can see there. Do you think his team is one that you could see making the playoffs? If you're the 1 seed, can you see him being 8 and actually knocking him out in round 1, or him knocking you out in round 1? What do you think, Rob?
No, he's not getting anywhere. He's going to be in the low loser bowl, and it's between him and Andrew are going to be in the last championship round for sure.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ricky,
karma comes around.
And we want Andrew to take that spot. Let's be real. We don't want to have to drive to New Mexico for a barbecue. We don't want to do that.
True. But, Ricky's another guy. He's got 2 tight ends. He's holding on to Zach Ertz. I know he picked him up last week. Goddard went off. That was the same thing we were talking about, like with Tim. Goddard went off on his bench, so he just made the swap, but didn't do anything with Ertz here. Not really doing much for him on the bench. Kelly got more snaps than you'd think, with Eckler coming back from injury, but still, even when he's getting all the carries, he's putting up a 0. I don't know. Those are two guys. He picked up Claypool. I don't know what he's planning on doing with him. I know he's on Miami, but picking up a receiver that's coming on to a new team midway through the year, when there's already Tyreek Hill and Waddle, where does he fit into that? He's got 3 Gainwell, Swift's backup, 4 guys that he can easily just cut off his roster and try and pick up new guys and go from there.
Yeah.
And
Braxton Berrios on Miami too, so he's way behind in the depth chart. I don't understand the move at all.
Unless they start doing just some goal line, tricky stuff with him, but then you're never going to feel comfortable starting him even during bye weeks. No. So I don't know where Ricky's kind of heading with this team. This week, though, I could have seen him beating you. It had Purdy just done what he normally does. Maybe if Debo stays healthy, if Nick Evans has a normal Mike Evans game. Bills defense against the Giants with the backup quarterback, they don't even have their starter Daniel Jones in, only getting what they get him 6 points. Manny ended up with 86, which is a very respectable score, but a couple things go different. And I could see Ricky actually winning this matchup. It's just like probably, I would say a couple things went wrong, but it seems like 4, 5, 6 things went wrong for Ricky, unfortunately. He put up a respectable score, but it just took the L's,
I'll be honest, after the morning game, I saw Raheem at the 31. I was like, damn, Fox going to put up 15. I'm like, ooh, that's going to be a tough one to overcome there. And then I saw that projection math in your head. And then I saw the Bills matchup on Sunday night, and I was like, oh, man, they're going to put up 12 points. I'm like, oh, man, this is going to be real tough for me. Like, I might have to put up 90. So, that's exactly where my head was at. But, I got
see why.
The game does its thing, right? Fantasy football was so weird. Guys go out after the first couple drives, and then they don't come back in the game, questionable.
Yeah.
It's a crazy game we play, we're banking on these real people who, go through real trauma and stuff. And there was a lot of trauma again, in that Sunday night game. We saw Damien Harris leave on an ambulance. Why is it the Bills that have year over year guys leaving on an ambulance? Like, terrible.
Primetime games, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. I thought that game was going to be over. And I was like, oh, it's over. They're going to stop it. Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, so exactly. We thought that, but if it's not a heart attack, the NFL is going to power through. Neck injury, forget about it. We're going.
Yeah, paralyzed, that's nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but that's the matches for the week. Yep, I'm looking forward to Rob. We're going to see who ends out on top. I'll maybe sit someone so you can get a victory there. And
don't forget, all 3 of us are rooting for Ricky to beat Alex here in his next week's matchup. Maybe Boster goes off again. Henry has a Henry game, and this time with Purdy gets to play the Vikings defense. If Debo's healthy, they could each get 20 points for him, and that could really, Alex with that bad karma against him, he could have Ricky actually go off and score 100 plus against him, and he might end up with 99 and take the L.
So let me ask this: do you want Alex to finish in the top 4? Or the bottom 4 of the 8 playoff teams?
Oh, I'll take Alex out of the playoffs. I wish Alex, he didn't have much hand in drafting his team. Karma should come for him and kick him out of the playoffs. If anything, I don't want him to get those home point advantage points. Keep him in the bottom 4. I'll take Ricky in the playoffs over Alex.
All right. Yeah, because I see him getting that 5-6 spot, and that could spell trouble for whoever plays him there.
Yeah.
If Alex was drafting, he would have gone Jamar Chase, and you would have got your CMC.
Well, there we go.
All right. Well, let's talk about the feasting turkeys for the week. So, number 1 quarterback, 1, 2, and 3 in order. Tua, Jared Goff balled out, like we talked about, and Dak Prescott. So, Javi had Dak on the bench, unfortunately. He started Russell Wilson, but it still wouldn't have mattered in Javi's game as he put up that wonderful score of 38. So, it didn't matter. No big deal. Running back. So, Ricky, number 1 running back on the week. Cody, Kyron Williams with 22 points at number 2.
Ankle injury at the end of the game, unfortunately.
Ankle injury at the end of the game, which is unfortunate. We're going to talk about who's going to supplement him coming up here. So Travis Etienne, number Romo. 3 round. Yeah, Romo looking good. Again, Tim's up here every week, it seems like, with Tyreek at the number 1 spot. So Tim's always got that number 1 wide receiver locked up. But Andrew now.
We have an Andrew sighting.
We have an Andrew sighting as a top player of the week, Cooper Kupp. And then Carlos Amon-Ra had that great. Did you see that block that Craig Reynolds laid to get Amon-Ra that touchdown? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah.
So did you see the Jets game when Al Lazard made a such similar block for Garrett Wilson and they called it back? Oh.
Yeah. Blindside.
Oh, yeah. And I was like, Really? Come on, man. I was like,
It's
I finally get
inconsistent.
a 40-yard play out of Garrett Wilson, and they called it back.
Yeah.
Rob, Travis Kelce, I don't think you're ever going to not see Kelce there unless he's injured. He's always going to be in that top spot for you.
Yeah, I got my Travis haircut. See?
There we go. I see
Oh,
it.
Where's your Taylor Swift shirt?
I know. That's what I need to miss. Maybe
It's
on
in the
another
washer. He's already worn it every day this week.
Ever since she's shown up, he's been on fire.
I was actually kind of
he's
nervous
number
about
one
that.
tight end. He's always on fire. Come on
Yeah.
now. It's 14 points compared to everyone else in the league here.
She
Right.
put him on the map, guys. She put him on the map.
Oh,
Yeah,
right. That's right. I had
sure.
no idea who he was until he came around.
No idea.
Angel, great waiver wire pickup with Dalton Schultz, number 2 tight end. Good for him. And then Andrew,
Another one.
Kyle Pitts. So back-to-back weeks for Kyle Pitts. Whoa.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts has sneakily been a really good tight end the last couple weeks. Will it continue? I don't know, but a lot of people lost faith. Andrew didn't. If Kyle Pitts can put up double-digit points going forward, that's a huge advantage for Andrew. Hopefully he'll just start the right defense going forward.
Hopefully he can get to 70 points.
And as Rob talked about, the only way he would have beat Cody this week would have been starting that Vikings defense. They put up a huge 24 score. That's due to Justin Fields going out of the game early. They were playing against Bilbo Baggins, and that's what's going to happen at the Shire. Shire is going to go down in flames when the Vikings come rolling into town.
I guess so.
Yep. Ravens, they put up a
Even in London.
score. Even in London. Yep.
Yeah.
Nice job there. And then Chiefs, Cody, your waiver wire pickup for the week, the Chiefs, who are on the free agency market, put up
Yeah,
a big
they're
score
still out
there.
there.
Still out there. So
Yeah.
They don't get to play the Broncos every week. I will point that out. They get to Chargers this week, which will be tough, but it's nice to see them up there.
But the defense for the last couple of years hasn't been, people have always felt, we're going to score on the Chiefs, and that's why the Chiefs have put up monster scores. It's been very different this year. They're not putting up 30 points a game. They're putting up 18 to 24 points a game because the defense is actually keeping them tight games, and they're running the ball. They're really leaning on Pacheco a lot. So
in a way, it's like a completely different Chiefs team than we're used to the past 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
And overall the season, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Tua, those are the top 3 right now in that order.
Mm-hmm.
So Cody, Rob, that's you guys are in top 2 positions. Very easy to see there. As far as running backs go, CMC, Raheem, that doesn't equate to what success is as far as the record goes, which is interesting. But A-Chain is still number 3, even though he hasn't played.
That's crazy.
He's got 99 points in like 3 games played or 2.5. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So hopefully this week another running back takes over that spot. But when A-Chain comes back, I'm sure he'll be back in the top 3 of running backs for the season. Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, DJ Moore. Again, the top 3
right there with the top 2, Diggs and Hill.
Yeah, that's why Tim's got always got a shot. Yeah, when you got 200 plus points combined from 2 players through 6 weeks, that's pretty dang good.
Yeah.
Yep. Kelsey, Laporta, and Andrews again in that order. We keep telling Andrews start Laporta or Alex.
Alex. Yeah.
Alex.
You have.
But he has Hawkinson, so he's got another option. Can't blame him too much.
Yeah, he's going to sit there pretty in the bench.
Yeah.
So
someone bye week.
Someone go out there and make a deal for Laporta if you can. I hate seeing him on the bench.
This guy on the get him on the field, please, somebody.
And as far as defense goes, Cowboys, Bills, Saints. That no change there. Those 3 defenses have been dominant. Love seeing that consistency. Hobbies, Cowboys are going to start seeing a little bit more competition as we get down the stretch here. But overall, they played a decent game last night, but not a great game. So,
it'll be interesting. I think they still have to play the Eagles twice, so those will be must-see games. It'll be interesting to see if Hobby ends up, because if he has a matchup like when the Cowboys played the Niners, he doesn't like, he'll keep him on his bench. He won't cut him, which is smart. He'll pick up another defense, play him in that spot, and so it'll be interesting to see how he approaches it, because there's going to be probably about 3 more games, maybe 4, where he might want to do that. Might have to think about doing that, because the bench spots in this league are valuable. So it'll be interesting to see how he approaches it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So looking at the playoff picture so far, Big Kahuna at the top spot, myself.
Yeah.
Myself in the second spot and Cody in the third spot there, right? Based off of our point differential, obviously our points for. But then you got Angel with the 4 wins, and then you got the bunch stacked right there. We always see this every year. We see that middle group always has a 500 record, right?
It's true.
3-3, 4-4. It always bunches up that way. So we got Alex, Timmy, Javi, and Carlos who are battling each other for that, trying to get into that top tier, top 4 position. So it's interesting there. Who do you guys see as someone who's going to, out of those 4, who potentially could drop into that bottom 4 position, 9 through 12?
I see Javi can go down there.
I didn't want to say it first. I was letting Rob go first.
I see definitely Javi going down there. Was potential, but another one, I just see Javi go down there. I think Carlos's team is starting to get a little mojo back, and then and Tim's and Alex's team were just too good to be out of the playoffs, I think.
I'll say, you know what, you pick Javi. I think I might pick Tim. His running backs, when we look at them with Achane out, he's going to be out for at least 4 weeks on the IR. His running backs are, very thin. Madison, who knows what's going on there? He's getting volume. Akers is getting more carries, less carries. It's not helping Madison out. His running backs are fragile. If Hill and Diggs maybe kind of have a down week, maybe back-to-back weeks, they play tough defenses, that can really impact his team, and he might take, 2 losses where – his team just had 2 players have bad weeks, and that can really tank him because he's been relying on Hill and Diggs, which they've been consistent. But if they have tough matchups, or if Waddle has a blow-up game and it's not a Hill game, that can really impact him, and he might drop just one game separates, 5th place from 10th place right now. So if he just loses 2 in a row, that could drop him to 10th all of a sudden.
That's right. So who's the team in that bottom 4 that jumps up? And if you were saying Tim's team, and going back to Tim's team, I think he's going to get a bump, though, from the quarterback. My goodness. He's going to get a bump from Matt Stafford because the Rams running back room going down.
Oh.
We're going to see him probably throw the ball a little bit more. So he's going to get some points there, bump up, right? I don't think they're going to – Yep. Yeah, I think they'd be more relying on the pass game over the next couple of weeks till they get back healthy in the running back room. So he might get that point.
If Met ever has another, good game for him, another double-digit game in the starting lineup for him.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Javi, Tim are potentially 2, but I think Romo's the team that jumps up into that playoff position. If he can get the win, especially playing Andrew this week. So
yeah,
I see that being a potential for Romo sneaking up into that 7 or 8 spot.
I'd agree with you there. I'd go with Romo out of those bottom 4, most likely to kind of reach up and jump into the playoff picture.
Yep, I agree. Same thing. Same only team, I think.
Yeah. Andrew, I don't know when he's going to get a win. He poor guy. You just, especially new to the league, you just want to get one. Just get a little momentum going, get one, and then you can kind of relax, take the L with dignity. Man, poor guy. And Edgar, our champion from last year, out of the playoff picture, kind of where he's been, before that last year, outlier year.
Yep. He's when you go heavy on the Raiders, kind of what happens to you, right? I mean,
back-to-back first and second round picks for him.
Yeah.
Jacobs and Adam. I mean, that's one thing that makes this league so special, man. You were talking about that bunch in the middle. It seems every year it's, the difference between 4th place and 9th place is 1, maybe 2 games, even at the end of the year. I think I remember 2 years ago, Manny, I think you were first at 9-5, and the person who was 8th was like 7-7. It was crazy. It was just a 2-game gap from like 1st place and like 9th, the next spot out of the playoffs. So it seems to happen year after year in this league where it's always bunched up, and 1 game can swing your entire season for you.
Yep. So I'll give you some history, Cody. Back in 2014, while I was living in Japan at the time and playing from there, we had a season where from the 4th team all the way to the 10th team all had the same record.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Going into the last week.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about.
I think I was part of that crew, and I didn't make it. I ended up in the loser bowl.
You're relying on tiebreakers. That's incredible.
It was wild. There were so many tiebreakers at play. There was a lot of people asking questions. There was a lot of accusatory the commission cheated because I was in like the 11th spot. I got into the 8th spot. And then the people were threatening to quit the league that year. It was a wild scene because it came down. We had to come up with a whole waterfall of like, all right, points for, points against, point differential, and it became, even at that, the points were so close that season, it became ugly scenario. So this league has that potential to create chaos, especially with those 5 through 10 spots. It's nuts.
We'll see if Angel mentioned those receivers comes back to bite him a couple of weeks ago. That was a big deal, I remember, a couple of weeks ago.
Yes. So let's get into waiver targets for the week.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, for me, as far as quarterback goes, I like Jordan Love. I like the matchup there coming back off the bye. LaFleur is good off the bye. I think Jordan Love's had a couple weeks where he hasn't really shined like he did in those first 3 weeks of the season. But I think he can get himself right. He's going to get Musgrove back. He's going to get Christian Watson, I think, fully healthy now. I like the matchup, and I like Green Bay coming off the bye. They always do well off the bye week. So if he's only 56% available, but in our league he is available surprisingly. So if you need a quarterback in a bad way, Jordan Love's not a bad way to look. What do you got, Cody?
For me, it's Daniel Jones. He's not a quarterback I enjoy watching. He's not even a quarterback I think should have a starting job in the NFL. But his coach, offensive genius, Brian Dable, he's great. Daniel Jones, he can run. You got to give that to him. His weapons aren't great, but he can run. He can dump it up to Barkley, who should, another week back from that injury, should be healthier. They're starting to try and get Waller the ball a little bit more. You can kind of see what they're trying to do here. He's got a super solid matchup going up against Washington. They rank dead last in allowing fantasy points to quarterbacks. Fields went for 33. Ritter last week went for 15. Even Russ Wilson had 25 on him, and then they went against Hurts and Allen, who each got at least 23 points against them. So it's just because of the matchup. I think I like Daniel Jones. Just getting you some rushing yards, maybe even a rush touchdown. You can expect probably about 13 to 18 points out of him, and you can probably get him for free. He's only owned in 41% of leagues. 6 teams on bye this week, so you can probably get him for free just for a 1 week stash against a porous Washington defense.
Rob, you got quarterback on bye. Out of those two, who you taking?
I would take Jordan Love for sure, because there's still some potential there. Daniel Jones, I mean, it's like I wish he can be as consistent, as last year. At the end of last year, he was tearing it up, and then but as far as the Green Bay Packers, they have the weapons to do so. I would go with Jordan Love.
All right, good deal. Cody, let's talk about your running back pickup for the week.
So, of course, as we mentioned, Rob, you might want to listen to this one. Craig Reynolds, back up to Gibbs and Montgomery. With Gibbs coming back from the hamstring injury, it's kind of, they don't really even, the one game Montgomery did miss, they did give the ball to Gibbs about 17, 18 times that game. But now with Gibbs coming back from a hamstring injury, they could be reluctant to do that. So I can see Craig Reynolds kind of getting that David Montgomery role. Probably getting a short goal line touchdown. That offense is so good. They're going to constantly be in the red zone. So I can see you can't expect too many yards out of him. Gibbs, maybe, I don't see Gibbs getting too many touches coming back from the hamstring injury. So I would go with Craig Reynolds. And in this week, if Montgomery, if that injury lasts more than just 1 week, Reynolds might only be good for this week, because I could see Gibbs the following week starting to get more touches with that hamstring another week healthier. But another guy you could probably get for probably between $5 to $7 in fab, because running backs is so bad out there. You want a guy that's going to get some kind of volume, that if you spend $1 or $2, someone's going to outbid you for that 3 to 4. So you could probably lock it up with 5 to 7 if you need a running back pretty badly this week and need a goal line touchdown. What do you got, Manny?
Yeah, again, feeding off injuries. This is what happens. It's by this league's attrition, right? Next man up mentality. That's what this league does. And that's why it starts to, these teams carry 5-6 running backs, because it happens. So we're on running back number 4 for the Rams, right? We started to see it with Cam Akers, so they traded away Kyron Williams,
ankle injury.
Yep, and then Rivers,
yep.
Right? Was the guy. So now they're on Zach Evans. Zach Evans is 0.4% owned in ESPN or fantasy.
I think it's just his family that owns him. Must be it.
But that must be it. But he's there. He's McVay's already said he's going to be the starter this week. In that Rams offense, they love to run the ball. Now we don't know what we haven't seen him. We didn't see him in preseason really, so it's going to be interesting how much they're going to get work they're going to give to him. He's a rookie. He had a great college career, as what I keep reading and seeing. So I love a running back out of the Rams offense because the Rams have always been committed to the run. We've seen that over time and time again. They always have a great running scheme. So I would trust to fire up Zach Evans. And are you going to get 25-point game out of him? No, but I could
especially in this matchup against the Steelers. Tough matchup. But they are at home, right? And he'll have the home cooking. And McVay is going to find a way to have success, and they'll probably do some tricky end around stuff with Puka Nacua or Tutu Atwell, and then create some lanes, and then eventually he'll, if he breaks a couple 20-yard runs, it'll be a great day for Zach Evans. So I see between 5 and 10 points easy, and that's for a Fab edition. That when you're hurting at bye weeks and injuries, fire him up, Zach Evans. Yeah. All right, Rob. Out of those two, who are you looking at? You need a running back. Maybe Montgomery's hurt. Maybe other backups on a bye.
How much Fab you spending?
So in this league, because again, how scarce, but you're potentially looking at two players who could be just a weak filler. You're not going to unleash a lot. It's not like the other players are going to be permanently out for a couple weeks. So, I would spend maybe $10, if anything, 10 to 11. Maybe you're in the 10 to 15 range for one of these players just for a week to fill in for some of the bye weeks for this coming week. But I would take Craig Reynolds just because of the O-line can open up ways for him to run through. I mean, I felt like, the reemergence of Montgomery this year, no one really thought, but again, they paid the man. And I felt like the Lions' O-line has always been an O-line that's been really good at opening lanes for the running back. So I would go with Craig Reynolds.
Smart man.
Yeah. Since last year, they've been one of the best O-lines in the league. So, yep. Nice call there. Wide receivers, I got Josh Palmer. Now, I know it's not a sexy pick. He keeps going on teams, getting dropped to teams. But after what I saw Monday night, Quentin Johnson is just not a thing.
No.
We got to just give up on it. I mean, I thought Quentin Johnson would be someone that we can rely on later in the year. It just hasn't materialized. He's got all the physical tools. Mike Williams going down. I thought that was it. Justin Herbert's going to have to throw the ball to this kid. I haven't seen anything special out of him. Meanwhile, Joshua Palmer, he's consistent. 5 catches, 60 yards a game. You want that kind of floor, especially when you're playing fantasy. You don't want to get goosed. You don't want to, if you have one wide receiver who's going to potentially pop and then one with the floor that you can deal with that's a 7, 8.9 point a game, that's Joshua Palmer. So I know he's not a sexy pick. Herbert does throw the ball a lot, and he's clearly the number 2 receiver on this team. So
it's a solid choice there. For myself, I actually went with Curtis Samuel. It's not 2018, 2019. We didn't jump back in time here. Curtis Samuel is a guy you could pick up and actually roster on your team if you need a receiver. He's gotten, this might surprise people. He's actually tied with McLaurin for the most fantasy points in fantasy football on that team. So he's gotten a touchdown 3 weeks in a row, 2 receiving and actually 1 rushing. So this is a guy, they're throwing him the ball. He's getting more snaps than Dotson, surprisingly, in some games. So they're using him. He seems to work well in that offense with the enemy there. Now that it's his first year there. They're getting him looks. He's even getting about on average, 1 jet sweep a game. That's where his rushing touchdown came from. So he's three games with the touchdown in a row. He's gotten double digits in all 3 of those games. He had a slow week 1, week 2, but ever since then he's been hot. And I would take a shot with him if you need a receiver. There's other options, but I would take a shot with Samuel. He's a guy that he's only 21% owned. People forgot about him. Some people might not even know he's still in the league. He's a guy you could probably get for free. Another Fab guy you can get for maybe $1 or $2, and he can slot beyond just this week into your roster.
Yeah, no, I agree with Cody, with Curtis Samuel, just because, he's been, Sam Howell, I just couldn't believe he's the 13th 13 QB, in tier wise in the league this year. So no, but he's been picking it up. You hear a lot of Curtis Samuel when you watch the Washington game. So yeah, I would go with Curtis Samuel, and they're going against the Giants this coming week as well. So, I feel like he would do a lot better than Joshua Palmer against with Kansas City the next game. So yeah, I will go Curtis Samuel, and again, yeah, you would probably drop. You can get a steal if he continues on this streak. He can be like another Thielen consistent player, possibly with him with these past 3 games scoring more than 10 points. So yeah.
What happened to Jahan Dotson? I mean, I drafted him. He was so good last year, especially the second half of the season. He's just not materialized into anything, and I don't know if it's because him and Howell don't have a connection, but he's dropped off the face of the offensive map for them.
I think part of it is the system Bieniemy's trying to run there is very similar to what he was doing with the Chiefs last year, where it's not just 1 or 2 guys that are key. It's, as you see with Mahomes, even now, he's throwing to like 10, 11, 12 guys are getting receptions in the game. And they're trying to kind of do that in Washington, where you don't know who's going to get the ball in any given play, who's going to be in on any given play. So we thought his snap counts would be his snap share on any given play. So we thought his snap counts would be his snap share would be in the 80, 90%. And it's been down in the 60s and 70s. But that's only because they're trying to get everyone else on the field and utilize these different guys with, their different skill sets in different ways. And so when he's on the field, he's going deep and he's kind of clearing out routes for McLaurin. Or if they're going deep, Howell just kind of runs with the ball and then throws it to Logan Thomas. And I mean, it's a run-first team with Brian Robinson until they're behind. So it's kind of just, a group of factors kind of hitting all at once, unfortunately, for Dotson. Because he was the guy I had my eye on and you drafted, and I was a little upset, but not anymore. And I'm feeling okay with it.
Feeling okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you weren't the only one who thought that or felt that, Manny.
Oh well. So tight ends.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna go with David Njoku, and it's ugly. It's again, tight end. We always talk about every week being just a stinky position to try to get. But what I saw last week out of the Browns, I don't know when Deshaun Watson's coming back. And if PJ Walker is the guy that they're going to have there, because they keep saying they released yesterday that Deshaun Watson is, even though he's physically cleared to play, the team has said now he's dealing with so much pain, they don't know when he's coming back. So this is PJ Walker's team. PJ Walker is going to throw to the tight end. He's a third-string quarterback. So I don't see him. I mean, he's going to rely heavily on Cooper, and he's going to rely heavily on Njoku. Because out of the backfield, maybe still a bit with Ford there, but I don't see and Hunt. But the Njoku is going to be the one that's going to benefit from this because they're going to want to get the ball out of PJ Walker's hands. And Njoku is actually really good at when those plays are broken up. He's great at opening up and getting downfield. And if PJ can connect with him, I see a big play here and there. So I see Njoku being the biggest beneficiary of this. And even in the last week's game against the Niners, he was getting open and PJ was barely missing him on a couple throws. So he's definitely targeting him.
Yeah, I don't know. When it comes to tight end, I just have a little bit different philosophy. I'm just going to take shots at the dartboard at who's going to get a touchdown. And I don't know if they're going to be in the red zone enough to maybe get Njoku the ball because of Cooper there. And, with Ford and Hunt, they're going to hand the ball off and, kick field goals, rely on the defense, and maybe run it in. He's 61%. I even think that's a little too high, especially with the situation they're in. But for myself, in honor of Halloween, I went with Michael Myers, or Michael Mayer. Sorry, Michael Mayer for the Raiders.
No, Michael Myers is a great name. Yeah,
it's a great name for him. In that offense with McDaniels, he was there when Gronk was there. They do focus. They can have a tendency of focusing on the tight ends, especially with Jimmy if he does come back from that back injury. Jimmy, we've seen before in San Francisco. He loves throwing to the tight end as well. He was a rookie. He was their second-round pick. So he started off slow, like, a lot of these rookies do. But the last 2 weeks, he's starting to be on the field more, and he's earning more targets. And the targets he's getting, he's actually catching. So he's earning that trust, not only with the quarterback, but with the coaching staff as well. So he's a guy 1.5% owned. Manny was talking about it with the tight ends. It's such a landfill out there, and tight ends are just wading through the trash, trying to find some kind of diamond in the rough. And he's a guy that I would take a shot on. There's guys you can kind of find out there. He's a guy, if you have Adams and Myers out there, if they're going deep and getting the coverage taken off of him, he can be over the middle and he can get you some yards and maybe even a touchdown or two.
I mean, 9 targets over the last 2 games. It's pretty good for a tight end.
Especially for a rookie, and it's only kind of going up from there.
Yep. That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, I would go with Cody. I would go with Michael Mayer too. I feel like this year it's really interesting with the rookie tight ends have been kind of like showing up. I feel like Michael Mayer would be one of those that up and coming. He can catch the ball. I think that's the thing, right? It's just making sure he has the hands for it. But yeah, no, definitely I would go with Michael Myers on this one, just because PJ Walker, you're still trying to figure him out. One game, we'll see how consistent he can be the next following game or the following weeks if Watson's out for an extended period of time. So, yeah.
The Browns defense is so good. They don't need a guy that's going to be crazy, right? They just need a guy that's going to get first downs and get some completions. And so they don't need him for him to do too much. So
Jacoby Brissett back on the Browns would be so good. Their record would immediately be better. I'd like to see Brissett back there. That's all they need. That's all they need. Just a game manager. I'd like to see Edgar go and pick up Mayer, and then he can have 3 Raiders, including their defense, or I think it's their kicker. He can have 4 on his team. I'd like to see him go all in on the Raiders, please, Edgar.
Oh man! All right, let's knock out this defense, Cody. So who you got? Who do you like this week?
So I got Seattle. I went with the Seahawks. It's surprising just because at the beginning of the year, their defense was not doing very good. They're very young. They got a lot of rookies and second-year guys on that defense. They have a good matchup against Arizona, a divisional opponent, someone they know well. Pete Carroll's been there forever. It's a team that offensively is still kind of struggling. No James Conner, as we mentioned before. Dobbs is the quarterback with Hollywood Brown as their real main weapon and a little bit of Ertz here and there. I can see this being a good matchup for Seattle. Even looking back at their past couple of games here, the last 2 games they've had 4 turnovers. Beyond that, in their last 3 games, they've gotten 17 sacks combined. So sacks are a point apiece, especially against Dobbs. And that Cardinals offensive line, they can get a few sacks here. And on the year already, they already have 2 pick sixes. So if they make it a third one here, that could be a team that you pick up and they can get you 15, 16, 17 points off the waiver wire. And for a defense, I mean, that's a miracle. Ask Andrew. He would love to have a team like that.
Yeah, I do love me some Witherspoon, man. That kid is
there. You go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Spoon Man.
Yep.
Yeah. So great pickup there. Now my pick is going to be very, very unique, but I got some very good stuff to back it up.
Let's hear it.
New York Football Giants. And you're going to be like, what? Oh my goodness, the Giants, they're terrible. They're awful. You're right.
Terrible.
They are
awful.
Their offense is awful. Their defense has been incredible. So who are the last 2 opponents the Giants have played the last 2 weeks?
The Bills. And then prior to that, was it San Francisco?
Miami Dolphins.
Oh, okay.
And guess how many points they've had in each of those games?
I'm looking right
Bills
now.
Bills got what? Was it
14? They got 14 points and 31. Miami scored 31 against them.
Yep.
It's less than 70.
But they scored 8 points fantasy-wise. Why? Because they got 2 turnovers and a forced fumble and a sack against Miami, and they got an interception and a forced fumble against the Bills. They forced turnovers. So they have played 2 of the top offenses in the league, and they've come out on the plus side on the fantasy perspective, right? Against 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league that are ranked in the top 3. And now they get Washington. Here we go.
Okay.
All right. So this team,
you're starting to convince me.
This team does a good job of getting turnovers to happen, right? And when I see performances like that, I've been watching very close. I'm like, oh man, I expected blowouts. We all expected blowouts in those games, but it didn't happen. I was like, oh my goodness, this is kind of weird that this is happening because the defense has been so good at generating turnovers. So fire up the Giants defense for fantasy production. The offense is going to be terrible, and you're going to have to live with that. And they're probably going to give up 25 points a game because they're putting their defense in bad positions because they're going to give the ball in their own territory. But the defense is going to get you some turnover points. Those fumble recovery points are beautiful, and 3 turnovers over the last 2, 3 interceptions over the last 2 games against those 2 quarterbacks. That's I will put it down right now. Sam Howell's throwing the interception.
Ooh, I like it. How many sacks?
2
I
sacks.
think he's the most sacked quarterback in the league so far this year.
That's right. And so 1 pick, 2 sacks for the New York Giants in this game. That'll be a close game because it's a divisional game.
Yeah.
So fired up.
Rob, what do you think between those two?
Yeah, it's funny because going with those two, I would get the edge to Cody. I think the Seahawks against Arizona is kind of like iffy without Connor, and they've always kind of been like just trying to figure things out down there. AZ, with Dobbs, it's just kind of like, with the Seahawks, defense, he would have some issues with that. So I would give the edge to Cody with the Seahawks. AZ.
All right. Hey, AZ though, it's not like they don't put up points. They still can,
Right.
Mark. Yeah, but
we'll see how they do with a second week without Connor, though.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll figure out that running back situation. But Rob's already going to pick up Curtis Samuel, so he doesn't want to play that receiver against his own defense, picking up the Giants.
Of course not. Of course not. Yeah, Rob's going to drop $40 on Curtis Samuel. Of course.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Or is it Craig Reynolds, Rob, that you're going to –
like combo platters, both.
So when Rob said $10, everyone, it's 10 times 5.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into the closing out our show, game of the week. Wonderful matchup. Miami at Philadelphia. We talked about it with Tua and Jalen Hurts going at it with big fantasy implications this week. Implied point total for the game is 52.5. That's the highest of the year so far. Woo, baby. I love that.
A lot of points.
A lot of points to be had, that Vegas sees. But against the spread, which is surprising to me, Eagles are getting the 2.5 favor over Miami.
Yeah.
At home. But the Eagles haven't been overly impressive, but they have won.
Coming off the loss to the Jets.
And so is Miami's defense the Jets defense? Of course not.
No.
Of course not. But can Miami score 30 points a game? Most definitely.
Yeah, easily.
And Philly's defense doesn't exude that scare tactic or that bravado.
In the past. No.
Exactly. It doesn't bring that, Brian
especially through the air. On the ground, they can really stop the run, but through the air, they're susceptible.
100%. Garrett Wilson would have torched them had they not called that play back. I mean, Tyler Conklin was torching them, so definitely susceptible in the air. And that's how they got beat by the Jets, just Zach Wilson doing just enough through the air. So I love the game. I think there's going to be I think it's going to hit the over? I hope. I'm going to bet the over most definitely. And
Miami can hit the over just by themselves.
That's right. So Raheem the Dream's probably going to get his, out of the backfield. Tyreek, I mean, when is he not going to not score? That's the bigger question.
Yeah.
Who's going to stop him? So how do you guys feel about this game?
What do you think, Rob? What are your thoughts here?
I feel like it's going to be a potential shootout between the teams for sure. But I'm going to give the edge to the Eagles. I really hope that they are going to, Jalen Hurts is going to have a ball for sure. And they just signed Julio Jones. So Julio Jones coming in the mix now, another big body for the end zone. But I really doubt they're going to play him this game. But, I'm excited because this could be the potential game winner against you this week. With the high score points. If it's a shootout the way I imagine it would be, I'm hoping that it is everything that I hope so. And, and then, I'm going to do a little bit of gambling on underdog fantasy and see how that goes.
Underdog fantasy. That's right. Yeah, no, that'll be the game definitely that makes or breaks me for sure. If I'm not up by 40 points, I definitely see Hurts taking me down, putting a dagger through me, which, okay, I can live with that.
I don't know. This game, I kind of feel the opposite. I think Miami's going to do what Miami does here, getting Tyreek Hill and Waddle through the air. Once these DBs for the Eagles and even the safety, they're susceptible to getting beat. So I can see Hill having a big game here and Tua as well. And I can see the Eagles wanting to run the ball, a big swift game. Hurts probably getting 1 or 2 touchdowns, getting pushed in. It's Ricky's favorite play in all of football, really. He's got so many different nicknames for him. I've lost count that have all made me laugh. I can see the Eagles really trying to slow it down, wanting to go with the under in the total, running the clock, draining, keeping Tua on the bench. But I I don't know. I could just see Tyreek running wild in this matchup with the DBs. I don't know if Mostert has that big of a game, just because that front four for the Eagles is just so ferocious. But I can see the Dolphins winning. I would even forget the spread. I would take the Dolphins straight up, even though they're on the road in a hostile environment. I would go with the Dolphins here. Expect a big game from Tua and Hill. Not as big a game from maybe Mostert, but I can see Swift and Hurts having big games as well. And hopefully we see a huge 45-42 type of game. I'd love to see that here.
Yeah, we've been expecting some of those kind of big shootout games, and really hasn't materialized this year. No. So hopefully this is the one that
been on point this year.
Yeah, defense have been pretty tight this year. Actually, I was reading a stat where the under has been hit more this year since 2002. And so it's over 60% right now. The under is hit.
Yeah.
So, underdog, if you've been betting players not hitting their yardage, players not hitting their receptions, you've been having good weeks because, offensive production is down this year, across the board.
I think the 2 underdogs you guys posted, it was like 5 out of 6 of them were overs. And I was like, I don't know if these are going to hit. Mm-hmm. So keep that in mind as you two are going through your underdog parlays.
God damn it, parlays.
Think about the unders. Think about those unders.
That's right. Rob, you already said who you got, the Eagles. Cody, you commit to. I'm going Miami. I want Miami to pull this game out. So, but that's it for the day, Rob. Before we go, we got one last segment.
Oh yeah, I got a good one coming in. I reached out to several members. I felt like I'll reach out to some more if I get a chance to do this again in the future. I reached out to several people, and I thought for sure the no mames trade here is Amon St. Brown and Elijah Moore for Damian Pierce and Jordan Addison.
Ooh. Depends on what week that trade was proposed, but recently.
Right. I should have,
Ooh, hold on to Amon Ra.
Yeah, please. I sat there. I was like, no mames, for sure. Another one that came through was like a no mames is a trade, a one-on-one player, which it's kind of difficult to do, but it's gonna be one of you guys. Marquise Brown for Jahmyr Gibbs, straight up.
Oh,
ooh. Hold on there. Hold on there.
Ooh.
Marquise Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs.
Which side are you taking in that one, man? Which side would you rather have right now? Looking forward.
A month ago, I'm taking Marquise Brown.
Okay.
Now, I'm taking Gibbs with the injury to Monty. Gibbs coming back off the injury. They're gonna have to rely on him more. Yeah, I keep Gibbs for the latter half of the season.
I agree. I would keep Gibbs too. I feel like because of Monty getting hurt, maybe this is a realization to Detroit. Be like, hey, we can't run him at full power again. We need to have him split the workload. So I feel like there might be some more Gibb involved in the second half of the season. I have a feeling for
Good
sure.
Point. Yeah.
And then one last one. No mames trade off.
No mames
is Breece Hall. No, sorry, we did that one. Hold on. This was too good.
Let's hear what Manny.
It's
gonna be a Manny trade.
If somebody was gonna try to take Breece Hall, my goodness.
At this point.
Receiving Austin Eckler for Brian Robinson and Justin Jefferson. A no mames trade.
That has to be a recent one, but
Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson, and Justin Jefferson.
So you get the upgrade from Robinson to Eckler, but then Jefferson's hurt. Ooh, which side would you rather have there? Looking forward.
Right.
It has to be a recent one because no way are you looking to trade Jefferson with Robinson when he's
No.
Yeah.
That was a trade that went down
recently.
Very recently.
Yeah. Which side you taking there?
I'm keeping Robinson and Jefferson. Yeah. I mean, Eckler's money, but Robinson has been semi-productive. And if again, right, depends on the situation. If you can withstand to take a couple losses, if you're in that top tier, more wins and losses position, you can afford for Jefferson on the bench. If you're an Andrew or you're a Ricky, you got to take that chance because you need people that are healthy. Right? So you got to take that chance.
Yeah, I'm
taking the Eckler. So that's situational based, but I'm sticking on the Jefferson side.
Team context matters, but the way running backs are, I might just take Eckler. You can have Robinson if they're down. They're not playing him. They're playing Gibson. And then you can figure out if Jefferson ever comes back. If they cut him down for the year, I'll take Eckler. I'll take Eckler on that side. And he can be 14 to 20 points a week in my running back slot. That's the side I would take.
Yeah, I agree with Cody. I would take
Eckler too.
Right, because you don't have you have the potential for Brian Robinson to have those big monster games, but I just feel like with the Washington's offense, it's still kind of a figuring out thing. But you can guarantee that Eckler is going to get his touches, and he's a pass catcher, so
there you go.
Well, so is Brian Robinson, right? He had a receiving touchdown this week,
right?
So.
A little bit. They still use Gibson a lot, especially in games where they're down.
Yeah, Gibson and
that's Mandy's old favorite crush.
Gibson. Gibson. Broke my heart.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. That was a good one, Rob. Those were good ones.
Yeah, not bad. No mamas. Thank you, Rob. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the show for today, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. Rob, thank you for filling in for Tim. Tim, enjoy the family time. It's important. We'll catch you all next week. Enjoy the games. Rob, how do you feel about hosting the show with us?
The show, it's really interesting. I don't know how you guys cannot piss for this hour and a half almost. Like I was holding my chair for like 20 minutes. I was like, I'm just gonna leave out of my chair. I don't know how you guys do it.
I have a cup right here that I just it's filled now.
You have a condom catheter on right now. So I do it. But thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here last minute. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, no problem.
It was great. We had first, second, and third place all on the podcast. Hopefully, it helps people up.
This is wild. It is. Let's see it. We'll see how it ends up next week. All right, guys.
All right, guys. Hopefully, you get a tie.
Please subscribe. Enjoy the show. Thank you, everyone. See you again.